Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a game that I had in the Budyonny, the Tier 6 Soviet light cruiser. I'm playing by myself, and we're playing some Epicenter here on the map Trident. For my captain skills, I have Priority Target, Expert Loader, Adrenaline Rush, Superintendent, IFHE, Advanced Firing Training, and Concealment Expert. And for my equipment, I have Main Armaments Mod 1, Engine Modification, Aiming Systems Mod 1, and Steering Gears Modification. So the Budyonny here in World of Warships. What do you need to know about this ship? Well, it's one that really hasn't been featured on the channel, but this thing is arguably one of, if not the best, Tier 6 cruiser currently in the game. Now, of course, the Cleveland is also one of the best. However, that ship, as mentioned on our channel a couple months ago, I believe, in our American heavy cruiser and light cruiser split, that thing will be moving up to Tier 8 sometime here in the near future. So the Budyonny then would, in my opinion, rightfully take the place as the best Tier 6 cruiser. So what do you need to know about this thing, and why is it so potent? Well, you get the same guns that you have on the Chapayev and the Mikhail Kutuzov, those dastardly 152mm guns on those Soviet high-tier cruisers. You also have it on the Tier 7, the Shores, and then, of course, here on the Budyonny at Tier 6. And they have very impressive statistics. You get 9 of these guns, and they're able to shoot out to a range of 16.4 kilometers, a reload of 8 seconds on the dot. The alpha damage is pretty okay for the high explosive, 2,200. The armor-piercing shot is very good, 3,300 on a Citadel. But the main thing about the guns is the shell velocity, 950 meters a second, and also a base fire chance of 12%. So what this is quite frankly the best set of guns on any cruiser at Tier 6. You just get the perfect combination of rate of fire and the ability to do damage. Now, of course, the DPM is going to be higher with the faster rate of fire, but these guns just perform so consistently, and they perform so well that I'm usually a fan of 203mm guns or 8-inch on cruisers. I generally like heavy cruiser guns more than these rapid-firing 152s, 150s, 155s. But these guns are just so darn good. I mean, again, these are Mikhail Kutuzov and Chapayev guns, but you get them at Tier 6. And you can see as I'm shooting at those battleships, specifically the Arizona that's moving away, I've already lit a fire, I should say, and I've already done a pretty decent amount of damage here early on in this game. And the play style of the Budyonny, it really does prepare you for the Shores and then the Chapayev afterwards, and, well, quite frankly, all of the mid to high tier Soviet cruisers. You want to stay at range and utilize the excellent gun performance. Now, the armor on this ship, while thick along the belt, well, this thing does not turn very well whatsoever, and it actually gets worse the higher up that you go on the Soviet cruisers. To put it into perspective, the turning circle is 710 meters, which is rather poor, and the rudder shift is also 8.6 seconds. These are not as maneuverable as something like an American or a Japanese cruiser, so it can be a little bit difficult to get used to, and while the ship is very fast in a straight line at 35 knots, it does bleed speed very heavily in a turn. The concealment also is not bad, 11.2 kilometers with my build. Of course, I have a 19-point captain on it, and, you know, concealment expert. I got paint on it, so that's something to take note of. Most people at Tier 6 grinding up with, you know, starting captain are not going to have a 19-point captain here at Tier 6, so that's something else that you need to keep in mind. This is my Mikhail Kutuzov captain that I just decided to move down, because every now and then I like to come back down to the mid-tiers and play this fine ship, as well as some others. Yeah, basically what this ship is designed is to stay at range, utilize the guns, and pepper down enemy ships, be it cruisers, battleships, or destroyers. Of course, you don't have access to radar, you don't have access to that high-tier stuff, so you really do have to rely on your maneuverability at long range to keep you safe, utilizing the speed and trying not to get close to the enemy. You see why I am taking quite a bit of advantage of the scout plan. I've already used it one time during this game, and I will be using it a couple more times throughout the course of this replay. Anything that you can do to extend the range that you have is very important. And pardon me, the range is not 16.4, it is 16.6. So that's very healthy for a Tier 6 cruiser. But yeah, that's the skinny on the Budyonny. You just want to sit at range, utilize the high explosive spam. The AP is usable and will give you consistent damage at under 10 kilometers, but the high explosive is definitely where it's at with this ship. So far, this point in the game, it's 470 to 370. The enemy team has already lost 2 battleships, while we have only lost 1 thus far. Epicenter on this map is very fun, and I know that epicenter and fun don't usually go together in the same sentence, but this map is a good designed map, in my opinion. It's one of the better maps in the game, and Epicenter is not that bad. There's plenty of islands to play around with, especially the ones that are in the middle. Unfortunately, the enemy team manages to take out 2 of our ships in very quick succession, so they have now taken the lead. Now, one thing that I do want to note about the Soviet mid-tier cruisers going up to the Chapayev and the Kutuzov is that, well, because your playstyle is very French in that regard, you want to, again, stay at range and utilize the high explosive, is that sometimes it's very difficult to affect the battle in a positive way. Now, Putin's video on Wednesday, he talked about in his Iowa gameplay, did he make an impact? And the results of his game were very impressive nonetheless, but obviously a battleship, any battleship for that matter, is really able to affect games in a positive way because you have the ability to delete things on the snap of a finger. With these Soviet light cruisers that have the very fast-firing guns, it still takes a long time, even with IFHE, to be able to kill things. So with that being the case, what you need to be able to do is identify ships that use their damage control and punish them with a lot of high explosive spam, and then hopefully you can set some fires. This poor Budyonny that's just off to my starboard side has been lit on fire twice, and he already used his damage control, so he is burning. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, all it looks like you've been doing this game is damage farming and not really doing too much, but that's the thing. This cruiser should not be getting in close range. One thing that I forgot to mention is that Soviet light cruisers, and the Budyonny is no exception, they don't have long-range torpedoes until you get up to tier 9 with the Dmitry Donskoy that has 8 kilometers. The Budyonny, the Shores, the Chapayev, they all have 4-kilometer torpedoes. So they're basically last-ditch weapons that you're going to use in 2 situations. One, when you're about to die and you're trying to rush something, or B, when you're trying to set up an ambush. But because the maneuverability on this thing is so sloppy, it can be very difficult to use the torpedoes, and quite frankly, I've only registered a handful of hits over the... I think I've played like 30-some games in this ship now, so I've only registered a handful of hits, and you really don't want to be proactively trying to use these torpedoes. So I'm continuing to stay at range. I have my second spot plane up, and I am shooting at the enemy Arizona, and again, the damage total is pretty impressive, 76,000 at the moment. If I were to die right now, I would say that this would still be an okay amount of damage dealt for a tier 6 cruiser. But since then, the enemy team has really pushed us over to the western side of the map. You can see that basically our entire team is west of the 4 line heading north. So with that being the case, the enemy team has corralled us into one little section of the map. And when this happens, it is all but GG, in all honesty. It takes a very large amount of effort and a very large amount of skill to be able to get yourself out of this situation, because since you're all in the same area, it makes it very easy to get shots, effective shots into you. It's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. I guess that's what I was trying to look for a figure of speech, so to say. So, yeah, you really can't push in. And even though the Budyonny does have a pretty good armor belt, I'm already down to 17,000 hit points throughout the course of this game. You know, it's not even been 9 minutes in, and I think I've saved my hit points up a decent bit. But, yeah, you got to be very careful. Now, regardless of the amount of hit points that I do have, of course, Adrenaline Rush is kicking in, so my reload currently is 7.2 seconds, and that will, of course, continue to go down the more damage that I take. But right now, I really don't want to be taking damage. I just want to try to shoot at enemy ships that I have the best chance of dealing damage to, or the best chance of killing. So far, the score has really devolved now. Our team has lost 6 ships. It's 205 to 682. Things are not looking good whatsoever, and another of our friendly boats gets killed. The Belfast takes care of the friendly Fushun. Now, one thing to note, that enemy Belfast is going to end up with a very, very good game. And this is a tier 7 battle, so I'm not really that badly outclassed. The Belfast on the enemy team is really the only ship that everybody should be terrified of in this lobby. He's still on full health, and for some reason, I'm not shooting at him at the moment. I kind of tunnel visioned, but in all honesty, at the very beginning of the game, you need to take a look at the team lineups and see who is going to be the biggest threat. I do manage to land another fire on the Arizona, and finally, I decided to switch my attention over to the Belfast, but this guy should have been getting shot at a lot earlier in the game, and I'll give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. This was my first game of the day, so you know how it is. Sometimes you need a game or two to warm up. But regardless of that, I should have realized that the enemy Belfast was the most important target that needed to get killed. So that's on me. As as the best player on the team, as the best player in this lobby, what you need to do is identify, again, who is the priority target. And myself, I should have said right at the beginning of the game, if I have shots on the Belfast, I need to take them. I need to try to get this guy killed, because it's not only going to help me, it's not only going to help the team later on in the game, but it's going to make it a lot easier to be able to take care of. So with that being said, I'm up to 103,000 points of damage. I know that the Budyonny did use his damage control, so I'm trying to get this guy lit on fire once again, and it doesn't matter if he angles. I'm still going to get quite a few penetrations and deal very consistent damage. I do manage to land my 8th fire of the game, which is very nice, and hopefully this guy will be going down soon. And again, you can see the IFHE performance. It's fantastic, and that's why I say that these are the best guns on a tier 6 cruiser. It's just the rate of fire, the alpha damage, the fire chance, the gun ballistics. It's just fantastic stuff. At this point, I did shoot one armor-piercing salvo at the Nuremberg at about 14 kilometers. I did say 10 kilometers and under is when you're really going to be able to utilize the AP. However, the Nuremberg has such little armor that even at your max range, you're still able to citadel those poor things. But I switched back to the high explosive shot here at the Budyonny. I guess I mistakenly said that he uses damage control. He must have used it just now, and now I get 1 fire set on him. 5 penetrations right there. The deck armor on that thing, just not enough to be able to stand up to these shells. And you can see that my shells are just tumbling in right on the midsection. 2,500 damage. This guy's fate has been secured, and he will die here with probably this next salvo that I'm going to shoot. I set fire number 11 thus far, and will I be able to get the kill? Nope, it gets kill secured by the Gneisenau with 153 hit points. We've brought the scores back. It's now 3 versus 5, a little bit I should say. It's 250 to 778. I now decided to continue to shoot the armor-piercing shot here at this Nuremberg, and you're going to see again, it's very consistent damage. The shells fall in. I pick up the high caliber and do 5,700 damage with 1 citadel and a couple other penetrations. More shells falling in, 3,100 damage, and I don't even get a citadel on the guy, but that's a-okay. That's a very good chunk damage that I've been able to do to the Nuremberg, and hopefully with this next salvo going in, I should be able to get the kill here. The salvo looks fantastic, and there we go. I get 1 citadel, a bunch of penetrations, and I finally kill my first ship of the game, and I'm up to 147,000 points of damage so far. The damage farm has been real, I must say so. But again, it's still a bit questionable whether my damage has actually been helping the team or not. Once more, the Belfast is more or less at full health, still sitting over there in smoke, and it's going to be very difficult for us to win this game. There's still a possibility. There's 3 enemy destroyers left, so hopefully the October Revolution and the Gneisenau moving in there, hopefully they're going to be able to dodge torpedoes. You can see that there are 2 smoke screens. The Mitsuki is off to my right. The stern section of my right side, well, that was butchered pretty badly, and then the Moss is directly off my starboard side in that second smoke screen. So we're going to have to be careful here. Hopefully the torpedo beats will be coming here for that October Revolution. He is making the right play, and he is charging down that smoke screen. I have to admit that is the absolute best play to make here. However, unfortunately, the Moss is probably dropping torpedoes on him as well, so if he decides to turn to the left to dodge the Moss's torps, unfortunately, the Mitsuki is then going to be able to get some point-blank range torpedoes. So he is in a bit of a conundrum, and at this point, I realize that I must push in. I've been staying outside and at long range for far too long in this game, and I don't know if it's going to be enough. Now, you can see the torpedoes that I was worried about from the Moss coming in there, and he manages to take care of business. I do get a snapshot off on the Mitsuki, however. I saw him just before he went undetected. I managed to land 6 penetrations, and then I kept my cursor right over where the black was, where the shells were impacting the side of the ship, and there we go. I get my second kill of the game, and I'm up to 152,000 points of damage, but unfortunately the Belfast picks up his 3rd kill of the game, I believe, and he manages to take care of the friendly Gneisenau. So I really wasn't able to support my friendly battleships right there, and again, while the damage is great, don't get me wrong, I really didn't have the impact on this game that I really could have. Now, what might you be asking? What should I have done differently? Well, I already mentioned it before. I needed to shoot at the Belfast anytime that I had the ability to do so, and instead of focusing on the damage farm and just trying to pad my stats, so to speak, I really should have been priority targeting those guys. Unfortunately, my guest torpedoes that went around the corner did not manage to hit. You do get 5 of them on a broadside, so that is quite a bit to work with. And then something very bizarre is going to happen here. This smoke screen is about to run out. The Moss is right in front of me at 1.9 kilometers. I start to shoot at this guy, and it looks like he disconnected. So at this point, I'm starting to turn to the right, so as soon as I'm I'm able to secure the kill on this guy. I'm going to turn my attention as I pick up the Confederate on the enemy Nevny, but then right about now, he finally reconnects to the game. I decide not to shoot at him, and right as he starts to move forward, I dundered right into his torpedoes, but I do pick up the close quarters expert, but unfortunately, I kicked the bucket. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. I dealt 160,000 points of damage, and I picked up Confederate, High Caliber, and Close Quarters Expert of all things. That is really, really funny. I picked up 3 frags, had 12 fires set, and 3 citadels, and I had over 200 shells hit. Taking a look at the team score, I ended up at the top for my team, of course. I believe I had about 1,400 base EXP in this game. I don't remember exactly what it was, and pardon me for not having the detailed report as well. But regardless of that, I did a crap load of damage, but I really didn't have the impact on the game that I should have because I didn't shoot at the preeminent target on the enemy team. And again, as you can see, the Belfast ended up with 3 kills and came in 2nd place on the team for the enemy. So, yeah, just very, very bad target prioritization on my end. So, dealing damage is great. Don't get me wrong, but in those tight games where you still have a chance, you really do need to know who to shoot at. And unfortunately for me, for whatever reason, I just decided to not focus on the priority targets, and I kind of let my team down in that regard. So with that being the case, this is the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, have a great day, folks.